Hello, this is Tarina Ali, and welcome to Soul Sessions. Tune in for your dose of healing and hope. I'm just an avid believer that a change will come and that it's not an easy process to get to change. And the honesty of it is that I woke up this morning, and as we hear, I was feeling some sort of way. There's something that I'm having to face, and it just doesn't feel well to me. And what I need in moments is to just process what I'm feeling. And what I've learned for me in my life is not to be an island entirely unto myself. There is a quote that I learned in high school, and I forget who wrote the quote, but it says basically that you shouldn't be an island unto yourself, but whom the bell tolls, it tolls for thee, which means we need a circle of support in this world. And I have some trusted friends that I can text and call and bare my heart and soul to. And I just want us to ponder upon this, is that I believe, and I will keep saying it, that we need Jesus and therapy too. Now, I do understand that everyone is not going to go to therapy. And I do understand that everyone won't believe in whom I believe in. But I wholeheartedly believe that you need something outside of yourself to help you manage the vicissitudes that come in this life that we have. And so I want us to ponder upon, why do we feel the inclination or the need to just do things by ourselves always? That's why, I don't ask anybody for anything. That's why I just depend on me. And I want you to pause and sit with that. And I just don't believe that in this great big old world that we can't depend on others. That is just not true. And I want you to look at your experiences in your life. And I constantly say to people, when people manifest or act in a certain way, I say, what happened? Because a lot of times we don't address what happened. We just really address the symptoms. And we see people acting out. We see people, you block person's phone numbers. You say team cut off. And then this whole cancel culture. If someone disagrees with you or someone hurts your feelings, and then you immediately cut them off. Where can we be a human in society if we don't make mistakes or error against each other? Just think about that. A lot of times we say people have erred against us, but we really don't take that introspective look to say, oh, I'm a person too, and I also err. Because the reality of it is that we aren't always easy to deal with ourselves, but we put that on other people as it's always someone else. And there's a scripture that talks about getting the speck out of your own eye, getting the beam out of your eye before you talking about the glaring beam in someone else's. And I could sit here to say for myself that I have enough going on in my own little mind, in my heart, in my soul, to work on for an eternity than to focus on what someone else is not doing. But we have to really sit with this and to pause why we think that we cannot depend on other people. And we must be able to build up what I call our emotional muscle, so that when a person does let us down, because guess what? People are going to let us down. People sometimes aren't going to be able to be there for us because they may have something going on in their world at the time. And we're not just talking about people who are just constantly inconsistent or who constantly don't show up for you, but allow the same grace that you need to give to others. And I don't know one human in this world who has not received help from someone else. I've said this on many occasions before where people say, they're self-taught or self-made. But then I say, well, who created the books that you read? Who created the internet that you go on to Google things? And just to even think about it, I remember coming from where there used to be dial-up and there was AOL and it would go and it would be so slow. And then now when we get on an app or we Google, and if it doesn't come up fast enough, I know I do it sometimes, I close out the browser because it's not moving fast enough. And I think that is what we do in our humanity. We do it to ourselves and we do it to other people. Because if people aren't there for us fast enough to suit what we're feeling at the moment, we get discombobulated, we get upset. And then say, that's why I don't ask people for help. But you should. You should be asking for help. You should not be attempting to do everything alone. There's nothing I believe in this world that you're able to do by yourself. Even if you go to turn on your television and if you have a remote, if there's not batteries in that remote, the remote is not going to work. Or even if you have some technological gadget or what have you that it's connected to the satellite or the Wi-Fi or whatever the case, if that is not operating, guess what? It's not going to work. And so we are all interconnected with each other. We must get out of this mentality that people won't show up for us. But the thing is, we want what we want, when we want it, sometimes how we want it, because it suits our flesh and makes us feel well in that moment. Like for me, when my emotions get to a place, because I deal with an anxiety, but when my emotions get to a place where I'm feeling anxious, I need to talk about that. Like I need to get that stuff off of me. But guess what? Sometimes my friends aren't always available. Does that mean that they're not my friend? No. Does that mean I should cop an attitude and say, oh, you didn't get back with me? No. Or even sometimes when we send a text and if a person doesn't respond to the text in 0 to 10 seconds, we put all these narratives in our mind. Because people have lives too. And we must be gracious in this walk of life with ourselves and with others. And we must ask God to search our hearts daily. And ask God to give us the strength to be patient first with ourselves and to be understanding and compassionate for other people, because we need others in this world. I believe it is a trick from the enemy to have you think that you can't depend on anybody in this great big world. There are billions of people in the world. And no, sometimes those people may not automatically be in your blood of origin, and you have to be okay with that. There may be people. I was just listening to a sermon by Stephen Furtick, and he was saying how Moses' family put him in the Nile River in the basket, and how he was found by the Egyptians, and how he was able to sail up the Nile River and not be attacked or hurt, and that this other family found him and took him in. And sometimes your circle of support may be outside of your community. It may be outside of your immediate sphere. But we have to do the work to find it. And it may take a little more energy for you. But having this mindset of this just only self-reliance on you, our humanity is frail. And I know we have super women out here, and I believe definitely I am a super woman through God who gives me the strength. And my mom raised me to be a certain way. But there will be times in your life, multiple times, where things will just be so heavy, right? That you will need the support and that you just cannot figure it out sometimes on your own. It may come through a book that you read that gave you the hope and the inspiration to go another moment, to go another day. But guess what? Someone wrote that book. It may be a video that you watched on YouTube that gave you a dose of inspiration and hope, which is my prayer that happens with this podcast here, that you hear something from someone. And so the support looks different from everyone, but find it. Take the time to find it. Push past those difficult spaces in your heart where you've closed your synapses off because of the hurt and pain that have come from other experiences. I will not sit here and lie to you and say you're not going to feel pain. And I think that is what we attempt to do in life. We attempt to anesthetize the raw feelings that we need to feel. We'll take the happy. We'll take the glad. We'll take the exuberance. But we want to get away the frustration. We want to get away the fear. We want to readily give away the anxiety. We want to readily give away the difficult emotions. But we have to learn how to navigate through them all. But the beauty of it is, I believe that a change will come if we're in community and if we're getting the assistance and the help from other people. I wholeheartedly believe that sometimes the answer that you need is in the mouth of someone else. Yeah, I know you're great and you're wonderful and you know you have multiple degrees or you've learned, you've read on your own. But the reality is you're not going to always have your answer. And I think that grows us as human beings when we can be vulnerable enough to say, I don't have it all figured out. To say my sister or my brother may have the answer for me. And I'm not just talking about biological. And they may not even look like you. They may have different experiences than you. And I say we must get out of these silos, staying in these places of comfort that we have created, because the root of it is that we are afraid. We are afraid of being let down. We are afraid of hearing no. And this thing of well, I don't care. And often that is just not true. We do care. That is why we retreat into ourselves, because it hurt when we went out there when we got rejected or we didn't get the answer or people didn't show up as we needed them to. But stay in the ship. Stay in the boat. Find a community of support. There's a village out there for you. And sometimes that village changes, and we have to be okay with that. It would be a great world if we had people that stayed in our lives for the duration, but that's just not true. Some people come just for pockets of moments when we need them. I've had instances where I've met a stranger and the value that they've given me, and then they went on. And then sometimes I've talked to some of my sister friends and they gave me the value that I needed. And I want to send a clarion call out to all my women friends out here to say that you cannot be friends with another woman. That is just not true. Be a friend to you first. And I did a hard pause there because I want that to sink in. Because a lot of times we aren't getting back anything because we're not putting out anything. But we want all of this reciprocity. But when we in ourselves are closed off, but we want people to be so open when we're not open. So I do believe that there is a community that is designed for you, that you will be able to feel safe in that community, where you won't feel judged, where you won't feel ashamed. Because those are the things a lot of times that hold us back for wondering of how people see us. Can I show my blemishes and my flaws? Because guess what? We all have them. And I do believe that a change will come from all of us. But we got to do the work. We have to reach out to others to get the level of support that we need. We have to trust something that is bigger than ourselves, which I believe is the Lord Jesus Christ, to help us navigate through some of these tight spaces. But you can have friends. You can have a community of support. But check your heart first to see what is going on with you. That the blockage is there, that you believe that people will constantly let you down, because some people have. I ponder that you go through this day after hearing this message just to think. I'm not saying that this will be immediate after you hear this. It's like voila, but for some it will be. But take the time to just really look at yourself and the circle that you would like to be involved in. And I encourage you to even just to write that down, or what that may look like for you. Because I believe that a change will come if we do the work. Thank you for tuning in to this Soul Sessions today. I hope you have gotten your dose of healing and hope.